Hello all. Good morning. Welcome to another learning session. Today we are going to learn about Windows 365. So what is Windows 365? Windows 365, like a cloud PC, is a fully managed cloud desktop solution from Microsoft. Let us assume that you need a Windows 11 or Windows 10 desktop which can be accessed from anywhere, any device across the globe. Then Windows 365 is your answer. Windows 365 are persistent desktops available in Microsoft Azure subscription. Windows 365 comes in technically two editions. One is business and enterprise. They have one for Windows 365 government, especially for the government sector, and you have Windows 365 Frontline. Windows 365 Frontline is similar to your enterprise. The only difference is in a traditional Windows 365 licensing model, it's a per user per month billing. So, irrespective of whether you use it or not, you need to pay an amount of starting from $28 to use your Windows 365. However, in the case of Frontline, it is nothing but it's a concurrent licensing. So, with Windows Frontline licensing, you can have up to three users use a single Windows 365 license and can use your Windows 365 desktop. So if you have three shifts, shift A, B, C, then you don't want to buy three licenses. You can buy one frontline license, and the three shift users can use the single license. Let us basically see how Windows 365 or this cloud PC is different from Azure Virtual Desktop. So Windows 365 control pane is nothing but it's actually the AVD control pane. In Azure Virtual Desktop, your control plane is managed by Microsoft and your VDI is managed by customer. However, in Windows 365 scenario, both control plane and your VDI is hosted in Microsoft subscription. You don't want to basically worry about the VM. You don't want to worry about your hard disk encryption, all those things, because Microsoft will take care of it. The other difference is the pricing. The cloud PC is basically on a flat pricing model, which is basically like as I mentioned, it started from $28. However, for AVD, your price is literally the price of your Azure VMs. For example, if you are running a Windows 10 VM in Azure, right, with a 2 VCP 8 GB model, you will be ending up paying $78 to $80 if you are running it 24 by 7, right? The another difference of Windows 365 and AVD is AVD basically gives you more granular control over your VDI environment, whereas Windows 365 has limited control because the entire thing is managed and operated by Microsoft. So those are some of the key differences between Windows 365 and Cloud PC. Right now, whether all the business case or all the use cases fit for Windows 365? No, right? So Windows 365 can be best suited for short-term contractors or developers, or for that matter, packaging resources, right? They can just give a desktop where they log in and then they can restore it to a previous state once they're done with the packaging. So those kind of scenarios literally best suited for Windows 365. And Windows 365 is basically managed via Intune. Now, let us basically see the comparison between Windows 365 Business and Windows 365 Enterprise. So, Windows 365 Business is actually for small scale users. For example, if your total number of Windows 365 desktops is less than 300, then Windows 365 Business is the way to go. And if it is more than 300, then your enterprise will be the best suitable solution. And Windows 365 Business is basically like you are giving everything to Microsoft. You cannot use custom images. You can only use the standard image provided by the Microsoft Gallery. You cannot configure Intune policies or Intune policies in Windows 365 Business. However, in Enterprise, you can basically do the granular policy management using Intune. Monitoring is not officially supported in Windows 365 Business. When I say monitoring is not officially supported, you can put third-party monitoring tools, but not the not the default monitoring solution available with Windows 365. But if you go with enterprise, you have endpoint analytics and monitoring available within the Intune console. Then the other key difference is you don't have a VNet support. So what it means is in Windows 365 business, your VM is hosted in Azure. Your network is also hosted in Microsoft Azure tenant. But in the enterprise world, even though your VM is hosted in by Microsoft and in their subscription, you can have your VNet or your IP address assigned from your corporate Azure subscription. So consider it similar to your AWS workspaces, where AWS workspaces, your VM reside with the AWS subscription account, and your NIC card resides with the customer account. Then the other key difference is Windows 365 Business can be only added to Azure AD, whereas Windows 365 Enterprise can be added to both the hybrid AD and triple AD. I'll just switch gears to basically see the plans and pricing. You can see that there are two plans and pricing. For one is for the business and one is for the enterprise, right? So in business terminology, you can see how they basically do the pricing. It's based on the t-shirt sizing. So you have multiple t-shirt sizes which you will be using. In enterprise also, you will have multiple t-shirt sizes which you will be using. It's taking some time to load. Let me see. And one another thing we need to keep in mind between the Windows 365 business and enterprise is you will have an additional cost for your bandwidth. So Windows 365 business, if you take the lower t-shirt size, then you have a bandwidth limit of 40 GB. However, in enterprise, as our NIC card or your VNet is belongs to the customer environment, you don't want to pay for the bandwidth because your bandwidth cost will be consumed in your customer Azure subscription. And you can see it is basically cheaper, right? It's basically start with $31, which is literally cheaper compared to the other VDI solutions. So let us go back to our presentation. Windows 365 plans and pricing is what basically we just seen and I just explained. Now let us basically talk about the Windows 365 enterprise architecture. So you have technically three scenarios. One is Azure AD joint, where you are hosting entire thing with Microsoft. Azure AD join, where you are basically bringing your own network, and then you have hybrid AD joint with bring your own network scenario. You can see in the left diagram, your entire thing is managed by Microsoft, right? That red box is basically showing that the entire thing is managed by Microsoft. This is basically your control plane, which is managed by Microsoft. This is your VM, which is basically managed by Microsoft. What is managed by you is basically the connectivity and your uh, connectivity to your Azure AD and your policies via your endpoint manager or your Intune. And in bring your own network scenario, you can see that your network, right? Your NIC card is part of your VNet customer subscription, and your VM resides in the Microsoft subscription. It is managed by Azure AD and Intune, or you can basically have a connectivity to your on-prem to have it managed by the hybrid AD. Let us now talk about the Cloud PC lifecycle. So, in a Cloud PC lifecycle, like any other traditional lifecycle, you basically have provision, you have configure, you need to protect your VM, you need to monitor it, and you need to basically deprovision it. So, let us start with what is provisioning of your Cloud PC, right? So, for Cloud PC provisioning, you have two steps. One is basically you assign a license to the user, and you need to basically add that user or the AD group to a provisioning policy. So provisioning policy is basically a set of details which basically says that okay, your VM need to be created with the Windows 11 image, right? It need to be added to Azure AD, etc., etc. So you basically provisioned your VM. The next step comes your configuration. So you basically need to configure your Windows 365. How you configure your Windows 365 machine? You will basically use Intune to configure your policies. you will deploy applications using Intune. So that's where your configuration will come into picture using Intune console. Then you need to protect it. So this is where your Windows 365 Defender will come into picture. Your granular security policies, redirection policies, like you need to block your USB, you need to block the clipboard, you need to block the yeah, you need to block the copy paste, right? Or you need to block the client devices, client drives, right? So all those things will come in the protect section. So you will again use Intune to and Defender to or your EDR solution to protect your cloud PC. The next thing what you need to do is you need to basically do a continuous monitoring, right? So Intune gives you that facility to basically monitor, and then there is custom alerting available in Intune where you can basically do the alerts for some of the Windows 365 scenarios. And then comes your last step, nothing but your deprovisioning. So deprovisioning, what it does is it is not like you are going to delete your VM right away. What you will do is you will remove the user from the licensing or from the AD group, right? Which will basically remove the user from the license. And once the user is getting removed from the license, what will happen is your cloud PC will go to a 7 days grace period, and this 7 days grace period is where it will basically stay in that period, and after 7 days it will automatically get deleted. And because this disk is encrypted using the Microsoft platform managed keys, so you don't want to basically worry about data security. And also, so this is basically a cloud PC life cycle, or how you basically manage your live PC. Now let us basically see how we do these all no, live in the demo environment. So the first thing I told is you need to assign the licenses, right? So how you basically assign the licenses, you go to the Microsoft 365 admin portal. So you go to the Microsoft 365 admin portal, you go to your licenses under subscriptions. You should be able to see your licenses. So you can see that the Windows 365 licenses comes as t-shirt sizes. So if you basically have two scenarios where you have one set of users with two vCPUs and one set of users with four CPU, you will have two set of licenses, right? And how you basically do the assignment, you can do the assignment either via users or via groups. So in a corporate world, you will assign it via groups so that your management will be easy, right? So you basically remove the user from that group, automatically the user will be removed from the licensing model. So this is your first step to do. The second step is you go to your Intune console, right? So this is basically my Microsoft Intune console. I go to devices, and if you scroll down, you have something called as provisioning and Windows 365. Click there. This is where you will basically manage your Windows 365, right? So that is where for Windows 365, Intune is a key component. So you cannot enroll in Windows 365 to another MDM solutions. We personally tried enrolling to other third party MDM solutions, and we uh, failed. So what it means is you can only manage it via Intune because it has a hard dependency with Intune, right? So in the overview page, you will see what is happening with your estate. All cloud PCs will give you a glance of your cloud PC details where you can export it. Then comes your provisioning policy. So this is what I was basically talking about, right? So you need to basically create a provisioning policy. Let us try creating a provisioning policy, and we'll see what is containing in the provisioning policy. As usual, it's a name, so it's for demo. And you have the two licensing model. This is what I was basically talking in the session earlier. You have enterprise and you have frontline. Then you have your join type. You can either join it to an Azure AD, or you can join it into hybrid Azure AD. Then you have so if you basically select hybrid Azure AD, you need to select your VNet, right? And you need to select your own VNet because it have a connectivity back to your on-prem domain controllers. Then your network, you can either select from the Microsoft hosted network or Azure network connection. So when you select Microsoft hosted network, what will happen? The entire thing will be managed by Microsoft. If you select Azure network connection, it will be managed by us. You have Azure AD single sign-on, where you can basically single sign-on to your environment. And because you selected Microsoft Network, it will basically ask you to select your geography and your region where it need to be hosted, right? The second step is you need to select an image. So you have two options because it is enterprise. You can select from gallery or you can select from custom, and it supports shared image gallery or your compute gallery as well. You select the language. You can even optionally give a name. Otherwise, what it will do is it will take your name like CPC hyphen username hyphen that character. If you are enrolled to Windows Auto Patch, you can select that. And assignments, you can see you cannot directly add a provisioning policy to users. You can add it into the group. So this is where I mentioned during the in the life cycle where during a deprovision state, you just remove the user from the group. What it will do is it will automatically remove the user from license. It will automatically remove the user from provisioning policy, and you can basically review and complete. You have custom images. So custom images is like you can upload your own image if you have a one in the subscription. You need your Windows 365 to be granted the reader role in the Azure subscription. You have some more options here. One is the Azure network connection. So this is where you will configure your VNet, and if you can have Azure AD join or hybrid AD join. If I select hybrid AD join, I need to additionally give my OUs, my service account, and password as well. But if I go to Azure AD join, it will not basically ask me that details, right? It will just ask me to basically select my resource group, VNet, and subnet. Then it contains your user settings. So user settings is technically it is basically the user related settings. So basically where you can give the name, you can enable the local admin, you can basically create a restore point, and you can assign this to some AD group. So you basically, this is where your cloud PC life cycle of provisioning come into picture, and then how you basically configure it. So you configure it using your configuration profiles, right? You basically create, you will create policies. So I created some Windows 365 redirection policies to protect my policy. Let us basically see what it contains. One second. You can see I just created the device and redirection policies to basically configure and protect my cloud PC. And in the life cycle, the next is basically monitoring. So how you can basically monitoring? There are a couple of ways you can monitor. One is uh, you have an overall monitoring in the endpoint analytics. So you can basically see your my cloud PC device count is one, right? Resource performance, CPU spike, RAM spike, all those percentage, etc. You can get your startup performance, right? And if you go to that particular device, you will get more granular details. For example, how much time it basically took for me to log in, what all are the different phases in my login, right? What is my CPU, RAM, and all those things. So there is a CPU spike, and there is a RAM spike, etc. So you can basically monitor your Windows 365 using endpoint analytics, and optionally you can send this data to log analytics workspace, and basically get the reports from there. The next step is you can configure alerting as well. So there is actually an alerts in preview. You go to tenant administration, right? You have alerts, and if you see the alert rules, there are a couple of default alert rules which is created by Intune. So these are a couple of alert rules which you can set. For example, provisioning failure, or when you upload a custom image, if it failed, let us basically get an alert, right, or an email alert or something. So if I click on provisioning failure, if it is more than 10 cloud PCs, then basically give a warning or critical, right, or email me saying that there is some issues. So this is how you basically manage, right, your cloud PCs. Okay. Now comes your accessing your cloud PC. So you can go to windows365.microsoft.com, and if you are entitled to a cloud PC, you can basically get the cloud PC. So it can be accessed from browser, or it can be accessed from desktop app. The desktop app is nothing but it's basically our remote desktop app, which is basically used for accessing the AVD environment. So if I click on open in browser, it basically launches an HTML5 client for me. I need to select the insertion settings. I'll basically enable them. So my cloud PC is loaded, and one thing you need to keep in mind that this cloud PC, as I mentioned, right, you it is basically like you cannot shut it down, so you can only restart or you can disconnect your cloud PC. So let us basically go and see that, right? So you have only option to restart or disconnect your cloud PC, because cloud PC is, as I mentioned, right, it is fully managed by Microsoft. In a Windows 365 business case, the updates are happening using Windows updates in right. So technically, your cloud PC is like, as I mentioned, it's a desktop in cloud which can be accessed from anywhere, and you can just disconnect it. You can connect it back when you are in the second region. So we've learned about what is Windows 365, what are the different editions of Windows 365, how the architecture works, what is the pricing, right? How to basically manage your cloud PC life cycle. And we see all those in a demo. Hope this session is informative and it is actually useful to you. Please do let me know if you have any questions or queries. You can reach out to me in my email, amal.abraham at amalcloud.xyz is my email address. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.